The Longest War, a psychotherapist's experience of divorce, custody, and power, by Harrington, Ph.D. Narrated by Victoria Stevens. Dedicated to all mothers and fathers everywhere. Preface. The specific spark for writing about this part of my life came from an Overeaters Anonymous meeting. I was a speaker only once, and I went for broke. I confessed I did not have custody of my sons. In that era, a mother without custody was assumed to be unfit, either a drug addict, too ambitious, or mentally unstable. Until then, I had hidden my shame and, when possible, stayed vague. My story seemed too complicated to explain to non-veterans. After the OA meeting, 4 women came up to me to say they, too, did not have custody of their children, and they never talked about it to anyone. We each carried the shame of the culture as a private burden. That incident was the first time I realized I had company, and gave me the idea to write my story. I lived through these years in a fog of war, putting one foot in front of the other, fighting for my survival. Like many people who have survived trauma, I had fragments of facts and recollections, but no sense of the whole. I had outrage and pain, but no ability to describe a coherent sequence of events. All I had were anecdotes that existed almost in isolation. Mostly, what I had was a physical sense of dread, fear, and seemingly unending tears. I needed to understand what had happened. How did a marriage that began with such hope go awry? How did we bring this on ourselves? Who did what? How did it escalate to such catastrophic proportions? Could I have prevented any of it? Tempered it? Changed it? There are no villains in this memoir, even though at one time I believed there were. We are all flawed people, using each other to smooth our rough edges, like pebbles in a stream. In the great mystery of life, very little is personal, yet each of us is responsible. I waited nearly 20 years from our last court hearing before starting to write this story in 1999, but I quickly learned that 20 years was not enough. I was still too raw, and at every writing session, I dissolved in tears. The trauma of the years-long custody fight not only replicated, but also reinforced the trauma of my childhood. For decades, both remained undigested in my body. 3 months into my initial writing, I had a dream, which condensed and illustrated my experience of having custody of my sons taken from me. There is a big room, like a school gymnasium, with a lot of people in it. 2 children are brought to the door and invited in. Everyone at the entry treats them well and makes it seem like this is a wonderful place to be, but I know it is all fake. The children are told how they will be fed and have a lot of things to play with. But I know the truth. Once they are inside, they will be ignored and be starved to death. I know that this is really a maximum security prison. I put the memoir aside. I needed to find my fragmented selves, my little ones, and my young mother ones, and bring them all to safety and wholeness. To do that, I needed professional help. I sought out and found skilled and compassionate practitioners to accompany me as I opened Pandora's box and digested my untold fear, grief, and fury. 18 years after my first attempts at writing, I dove in again in 2017 and spent 5 years researching, writing, revising, and healing. Preparing for publication opened more layers of previously dormant distress. Emotional PTSD flashbacks put me in a tizzy, and my usual clear thinking became anxious, circular, and filled with doubt. I needed more rounds of help, more evolution, and as always, more tears. I have needed a quarter of a century to get this book written, edited, and published. I hereby declare this story documented into
Sample complete. Ready to continue?